Hello there, men, and welcome to the Masculinism Movement channel, a place for men to be men and talk about masculinity and men's issues. I'm your host, Brian Crawl, and today I'm going to be talking to you about female predators. But first, could you hit the like button there, because women who see this are going to be hitting the dislike button. Feminists claim that all men are predatory and are constantly talking about male predators and rape culture and exposing men and doxing them in the Me Too movement. But this is really just one big cover-up for the real predators, which are women. Predatory women are everywhere. It has practically been normalized in our society for women to exploit men for their resources. Predatory behaviors are encouraged among women. Female sexual predators and pedophiles exist and get lesser sentences and don't even get called rapists and pedophiles. Female violent abusers also generally don't get arrested or charged at all. Women are constantly able to get away with predatory behaviors because they are seen as the fairer sex and have done so well at covering up their predatory nature that society at large basically just turns a blind eye to it. So we men are all very vulnerable to female predatory behaviors and need to be very careful not to fall prey to female predators, as I'm sure you all have in the past, as have I. So here is a list of the red flags and signs to watch out for. And when you notice any of these signs, you know you are dealing with a female predator and need to preemptively protect yourself from her by distancing yourself as much as possible. First, there's feminists who are all predatory towards men and do not have our best interest in mind. In fact, most of them hate us. So any woman who says she's a feminist or is spouting feminist rhetoric is going to be predatory towards you as a man. Then there's women who have double standards about men and women, who act like women are generally innocent and rarely ever find fault with them, but think that men are generally the bad guys in society who they will often find fault with, even for the same things that women do that they don't think women are at fault for. And then there's women who seem perfect, almost like they're too good to be true, and it's because they are, and they are conning you. Any woman who seems perfect isn't really, and is just putting on a facade. And any woman who seems too good to be true is. Then there's women who are overly agreeable and seem to second everything that you say and like everything that you like. And this is all just an act. They're basically wearing a mask and trying to infiltrate your life like a spy by pretending to be something that they are not. And then there's the women who will act enthusiastically interested in you and pursue you in a way that women usually do not. Right? I mean, this could be love bombing you, which is a narcissistic manipulation tactic, right? Or acting seductive or romantic or courtshipy, just in ways that women generally don't, because women generally don't do these things. They generally just receive men. All right, women are not the types to put in a lot of effort or be very enthusiastic in trying to seduce a man. And when they are, it is because they are doing it for your resources. Women will only invest that kind of time and energy into a seduction if they think there's going to be a big payoff for it in the end. And speaking of which, then there's the women who you are paying for things or giving money to, who probably wouldn't be with you if you weren't. And how can we detect these types of women? Well, these are the types of women who do not have a high-paying job or a lot of money themselves, but seem to get a lot of nice things that you can't understand how they can afford, or are sure that they can't. And the explanation is that these women are gold diggers who are constantly mining multiple men for, gifts and, whatever they can get from them financially. Then there's the women who claim to be equals and to want an egalitarian partnership, but who never give you anything or do anything for you, and who you somehow often end up doing things for, right? And in this case, equality is really double speak for exploitation, and is a common tactic among new age women who, will say a lot of these things that are really just rhetoric. And if you believe in them, you'll find yourself in quite an opposite reality, right? And it's funny that even men who are giving their all to women, who are giving nothing back to them and are just taking everything from the men, will literally believe that they are in an egalitarian partnership just because the woman has said so and the man wants to believe it. Right? So you have to actually question these things and evaluate what it is that would make you two equals, if anything, right? Just like I did in my video on the relationship Venn diagram. If you haven't seen that, check that out, linked below. But then when women are proactively persuading you and pushing you to do things such as commit, cohabitate, co-sign on an apartment or some sort of lease or contract with them, or marry them, well, it is a trap. All right. Do not buy whatever sales pitch that they are pitching you to try to get you to sign up for whatever sort of relationship commitment they want you to make to them. All right. And one of these is women who say they want to start a business with you or work together on some sort of project for profit. And the venture relies mostly or almost entirely upon things that you bring to the table, and she has very little to contribute, and it would basically be like the same amount that an unpaid intern would be contributing. But of course, since it's her idea, she wants to be your equal partner, even though she barely qualifies to be an entry-level employee. And so while you do almost all the work and train her in how to, actually be able to do more of this work as well for free, she's the one profiting off of your work. And this is something I've experienced with multiple women. So whenever a woman wants to pitch you on a potential business project or some sort of venture or financial agreement that, she promises you will profit from, I would just not even hear her out. Don't even listen to her pitch, okay? Because it is all bullshit. And then there's the women who are seductive and very sexual with you and then ask for things as if it were a trade, right? And when they do not get what they want from you, suddenly they become sexually frigid. Yeah. This woman is just using her sex like a prostitute to try to get money out of you. And then there's women who are emasculating and use any kind of shaming language towards men or masculinity in general. Women who say things like, where are all the good guys, men are all such pigs, stuff like that, or that have been verbally or emotionally abusive to other men or to you. This is stuff that indicates a antisocial tendency or some sort of prejudice or misandry towards men, and that she's only going to be relating to you in a negative and predatory way. And then there's women who show no empathy, sympathy, or emotional support towards men, especially ones who claim that men should be allowed to have feelings and may prompt men to open up, but then who show them no empathy or sympathy or emotional support when they do and only attack them. Or if they do show empathy and sympathy, but it seems fake and forced, like they are just saying whatever socially nice and polite things they're supposed to in that situation in order to look good, right? Or if they are putting on a show of being emotionally supportive, so that they can show what a good person they are to you or whoever else might be involved, you are being conned in that case. All of these are predatory behaviors. And then, of course, there's women who think it's okay for a woman to hit a man, but not for a man to hit a woman. That indicates that she's a predator who wants to get away with physically abusing you at some point and wants to know that she has the ability to do that. And then let's talk about women who have positions of authority. There's the ones who have authority over you and treat you differently than the females they have authority over and are harder on you as a man and give preferential treatment to the women. There's women who have authority over you and use that authority to make sexual advances of you, which is quite frequent in the workplace when there are female managers. And then there's women who have authority over you and lord it over you and use it to bully you or coerce you to do things for them, like lording a potential promotion or a potential firing over you and basically make you into their office bitch. Then there's women who you catch lying, cheating, stealing, or taking advantage of you in some way, or being deceitful and betraying you in some way, and then they deny it and gaslight you. So when a woman is caught being dishonest, that's a red flag you shouldn't ignore, because it's only going to lead to further dishonesty and deceit. And a great way to actually prevent this happening to you is if a woman admits to ever having done any of this to anyone else in their past with no remorse. If you ask them if they've ever thrown anyone under the bus, or if they ever tell white lies or ever cheat or steal, and they will happily tell you about how they've done it and gotten away with it before in the past, you know that is a woman who could potentially do it to you. Then there are the women who have already been married and divorced before and are getting alimony for it. You do not want to get into any kind of relationship dynamic with one of these women. You know that she divorces guys and takes their assets. So, let a woman show you who she is. And then when women who are far lower in status than you show an interest or pursue or try to seduce you, you know they are doing it simply because of hypergamy and that they only want you for your status. So beware of any much lower status women who, show a great interest in you. Then there's women who claim to have feelings for you or to love you, but can't say what those feelings are, or what love means, and don't really act like it. Like they don't really act romantic with you or intimate or affectionate and loving, right? They aren't very passionate. They don't make love to you, but they state that they have feelings for you that do mean something, at least they're supposed to. What it means they can't tell you, right? They can't define their love or prove it or even act like it, but they want you to be rest assured that it is there. Yeah, you have to wonder why a woman would be telling you she loves you when she doesn't even act like it. And there's women who don't seem to care much about you and your interests and preferences and opinions and thoughts and feelings, what you want or whatever. And anytime you try to express yourself or do some of the talking, right, or do something that you want to do, they always somehow instantly change the topic and start talking about themselves or something that they want or whatever. All right. If she's only interested in the things that she wants and has no care for what you want or, your feelings, that's another sign you cannot ignore. Then there's women who seem good at acting and capable of turning on or off any emotions or tears or providing fake remorse and apologies. There's a lot of reasons women might become good at this, not just because they are actresses, but if they are in public relations in any way, if they are a public figure in any way, even any kind of performer. All right. So one woman that came to mind when I was reading this was a stripper who literally confided in me that she was proud of her ability to seduce men and pretend to have feelings for them in order to produce some sort of feelings in the guy that will then get him to tip her. So you got to be careful about women who seem good at acting and capable of turning on or off their emotions. Or again, if they are acting fake empathy, fake compassion, fake emotional support, fake remorse and apologies. You have to watch out for the fake behaviors and when their actions don't match their words. Then there's the women who get upset and angry, not just disappointed, but, actually upset when they don't get what they want. And that is because, these women are narcissists who have been coddled and catered to and are so used to getting what they want that not getting it seems like a crisis and makes them all flustered and angry even, and might make them lash out at the people who aren't giving it to them. And that's basically all they care about in any situation is getting what they want, and taking it from others, doing it at others' expense. So you and whatever you want is never going to matter more than her getting what she wants. Then when women act like they admire predatory females or toxic female behavior that they see on TV and in the movies and in music and media, that is a huge red flag right there, that these women are either predators themselves or aspiring predators, So all of these women who admire like Cardi B or admire some of these highly toxic female personalities in the media and actually admire predatory behavior are ones that you ought to stay away from. If girls are listening to these types of women, that's who they are being influenced by, and they're going to follow those same patterns. Then there's women who try to get you dependent upon them, and this could be for anything. All right, and they don't want you to be able to do it yourself or go to anyone else for it. They are trying to create dependence. This is something that happened with me and a girlfriend who I had a work project with before. And, she wanted to be the one doing certain jobs for the project, and yet she never did them. But whenever I would talk about hiring someone else to do them, she would guilt trip me about it and claim that I was trying to replace her. Didn't want me to let anyone else do it because she wanted me to be dependent upon her for it. But she also seemed to not want it to get done because she was a fucking predator who was just conning me. Then there's women who are very controlling personality types and almost always have to be in control in any situation or relationship, and may even seem to be progressively taking control of many or most aspects of your life. Yeah, that is a sign of a predator right there. And then when women have boundary issues, such as not respecting your boundaries or your privacy, constantly violating them, like for instance, expecting you to share all of your secrets, right? Or having boundaries of their own that seem impenetrable, in which they say you must earn their trust to, basically, get to know them on any kind of deeper level. But you never can earn their trust, right? And they're always sort of like lording that over you, saying you have to keep doing more to earn their trust before they really share themselves with you and open up to you. And yet, the ways in which they say that you ought to earn that trust is by being completely open and transparent with them. And it is also a hypocritical excuse for them just being secretive and not transparent or forthcoming, because they actually have a lot to hide. And so they assume that you do as well, which is why they're going to be prodding you and trying to get you to share so much with them, while also getting you to jump through hoops in order to earn them sharing their deep, dark, dirty secrets with you that you probably don't want to know anyways. Because they're predators, and they probably have a very sordid personal history. And then there's the women who do questionable things to you during sex without asking if you are interested in them first. This is a really big red flag that most men ignore because it happens in sex, right? But if a woman starts becoming rough or overly aggressive with you, if she starts doing things like scratching you, smacking you, or even just being kinky in a way that she really ought to have asked your consent for first, but she didn't ask your consent, and it seems like she's really just doing anything she wants to you sexually for her pleasure without having any regard for your comfort, and it's basically just like using your body for masturbation, and not having any regard for your sexual agency, that is sexually predatory behavior. That is a red flag that you basically been sucked into the web of a black widow, and she's probably going to use her sexuality to turn you into a sex addict. Make sure that you at least get to orgasm while she's using you for masturbation, and will be very seductive while fucking you in ways that she shouldn't be doing without your consent. And even if you're okay with it, you just need to watch out for how women treat you sexually and be aware of when it is predatory. Because like I said, men will oftentimes ignore this because it's happening during sex and men wanted sex. So we'll oftentimes ignore women acting in ways that are very inappropriate during sex and very indicative of things like, mental health problems, right? Or antisocial tendencies or a predatory nature. And then there's women who constantly act like victims and play the victim card when they are anything but. And that's because this is actually a power play and they are predators wearing sheep's clothing. All right, they want you to believe that they're a victim so that they can get away with doing bad things to you, since you won't expect it then. Then there's women who are self-righteous and overly entitled, and never admit when they are wrong. If a woman never apologizes or admits when she's wrong and also acts very entitled, that's a narcissist you've got on your hands, and she's going to behave in predatory ways to you, because that self-righteous entitlement and lack of remorse or guilt for anything that she does means she sees others without humanity and just, wants to exploit others for her own gain, probably especially men. And then there's women who you catch treating others badly without being provoked, like people they talk to on social media, for instance, or servers and employees at places where they shop. Watching how a woman treats others, especially others who she could treat badly and get away with, and making sure that she doesn't, is a very important thing. Women who lash out at others on social media, who they have anonymity with, so they can get away with saying just about anything. Or women who treat servers or employees at places where they shop or eat badly because they are the customer, they know they can. This is a bad indication that a woman is predatory, that she believes that as long as she can get away with it, like that if a person is beneath her or there's going to be no social repercussions for whatever reason, that she can treat people badly, and should in some of these situations, or many of them, and sooner or later it's going to be you. And then there's women who jovially admit to committing harmful or vengeful acts in the past, especially if they admit doing so to men or past boyfriends. And you may be wondering, well, what kind of woman would admit to doing something like that? Well, a predator. And I've had multiple women who I was on dates with or talking to or dating admit to doing mean things to men they had dated in the past. And, you know, when you hear these types of things as a man, you want to believe she's telling you because she thinks you're different than him and that type of thing would never happen to you, but that's just wishful thinking, and this is a giant red flag that you shouldn't ignore. She's telling you she is predatory towards men. Then there's women who are social butterflies, who are charming and charismatic and flattering to others, and generally very likable types of personalities. In fact, they feel the need to be well-liked and are constantly recruiting supporters. Yet that persona they are putting on when they are socializing is just a mask hiding their true self, if they even have one. And these social butterflies, even though they may be charming and very likable types to socialize with, can be very empty and even dark beneath that fun, flirty social persona. If you try to connect with them personally on a deeper level, you might find that it is very unhealthy. And a lot of these women who are social butterflies are narcissists. And if they have chosen to devote themselves to a socialite lifestyle, they're doing so because they plan on monetizing their social network in some way. Again, they're just looking for people to use. So you have to be careful about these types of narcissistic females. And then there's women who have low self-esteem and need to seek narcissistic supplies of validation and emotional support and encouragement from others, who they latch onto and feed off of for emotional support in this symbiotic relationship, like a parasite with its host, until that person's validation and support no longer means anything to them and has lost all value, at which point they devalue and discard that person. Because everyone is expendable to the narcissist. And most of the items on this list that I have made are indicators of narcissistic sociopaths, just so you know. Because what makes a woman predatory is her being either narcissistic and or sociopathic. All right, so these are two topics that I'm going to be teaching you about in great depth very soon. However, in the next video, I'm going to be going over the last type of predatory behavior that you need to watch out for, which are manipulation tactics used by women. And those are numerous in quantity, which is why I'm going to be doing a deep dive on just those in the next two videos. Actually, it's going to be a two-part series. So that concludes this talk, and I hope I mansplained that well enough for you guys out there. Thanks for listening, and be sure to share your own thoughts and opinions on female predators and how to watch out for them by commenting below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and share these messages with everyone by sharing the video on social media and talking about these things too. And lastly, check out the links in the description below for other resources for your masculine personal development and living the life you want to as an independent man. And if you can afford to donate, please do so with the PayPal link below, because your support funds me doing this work and fighting the good fight for men like you. And you can stay tuned for that next video coming out soon, which will be on basic female manipulation tactics. And make sure you subscribe so you'll be notified when that is. And until then, take care of yourselves, men, because no woman out there is going to.